We are an hour earlier than usual, so I'm curious to see how this goes. Maybe 10 o'clock is our time, 10 a.m.
Maybe 10 o'clock is our time. Maybe it's terrible. I haven't had coffee yet today. This is my first cup.
Okay, so listeners, make sure you measure the intensity and
Oh,
focus
that's not fair.
ability.
That's not fair for this week. This week has been,
Bananas.
I was gonna say shit show. I wanted negative vibes.
Oh, okay. Well, bananas in that context are meant to be a negative thing, but I guess it kind of is a veil over the negativity because
I want
who doesn't like bananas?
full bad vibes.
Okay.
I'm just we had some our dog Pancho has health issues, and I had a long week of vet and specialist and adjusting meds for our idiot dog who is unwell. And so it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, animal things that pop up are always stressful for many reasons, but the primary two are one, it's your heart, it's your animal, and two, it's really time consuming, and three, it's expensive.
So expensive. Yeah. Oh my god! And like this is one of the things that ruled about living in Mexico was like vet care is affordable and normal, and so like Pancho's Pancho has a enlarged heart from a congenital heart defect that he was born with. We've been managing that with diet and medication. We have to change and increase his medication because it's now reached the point that the medication we had isn't doing as much. And so we have to. we're talking like an extra $1,200 a year, maybe a little bit more of on new pills, different pills. Those pills are like $200 in Mexico for the year. Like there's a real possibility that not this year because I'm exhausted right now and dead, but sometime next year there might be a surprise. Daniel's back in Mexico.
I was going to say,
recording
can you
episode.
do like a med run, or what do they call it when Americans go to Mexico for medical care? It's called like a med vacation or something like that. I'm like,
okay. No, it's a policy failure.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, so so there's a real chance that I'm going to start like a biannual, once every 6 months trip to like Cancun to buy Pancho's heart meds because it's significantly cheaper than just buying them here. So that's less than ideal. And then we raised our prices last week. That's never fun. And
I got that email.
Just a lot going on.
Got that email. Those are
writing that email, man. Let me tell you, knowing how to write that email, not one of the things that I enjoy about my brain. Right? Like that's
fair.
It's like one of those weird skills where it's just like, oh no, you have picked up too many little things where you know how to. So that email took like 3 weeks to write. Less than ideal. It is what it is.
It's a 2024,
man. I'm ready. I am ready.
Let's bring on the even numbers. 2024 just sounds better than 2023. It looks better visually.
Yeah, and like nothing bad's gonna happen in 2024. Definitely Definitely not.
Definitely not. Well, it's been a great couple weeks for me. I've just been busy.
Well, sorry to hear about all that. My life, it has been slapping, getting good.
It's been just busy. But I shot my last wedding of the year, my last full wedding in New York on Saturday. While I was taking the train up to shoot that wedding, I booked an elopement in 2.5 weeks. So that's kind of nice down in DC. So that'll technically be my last shoot. Yeah, it was intense. It's funny. I've done a strangely high number of upstate sort of New York City or upstate New York weddings, or weddings just like north of New York, like in the Bronx or even a little bit further than that. And I love the culture difference. It is so awesome. I mean, to be a wedding photographer, like one of the great, maybe it's an unintended or not initially appreciated or realized consequence of it is that you get so immediately immersed into somebody's life and way of doing things, and how they, a lot of people express themselves when they're together with family and friends through hosting, and like what that experience is like. And I walked in, and I always love, it's always a good sign when the getting ready photos are at like the family home where they grew up,
Yeah.
or something like that.
100%.
And that's what it was with this couple. And they bought a house literally right next door to I think it was his parents or his mom, and or anyway, one of their parental units, literally right next door, and very, very, very close, like big Italian families. I'm talking big, as in you walk into the living room upstairs, and there's a 20-seater couch that wraps around half the perimeter so that everybody has a seat, almost like you're in a movie theater. And you go downstairs, there's another 20-person seat couch just wrapping half the perimeter around the fireplace and stuff. So everybody has a seat. It's just a big Italian family. Yeah. And I walk in, the bride's just like, "Oh my gosh, hi, I'm so glad you're here. Can I get you anything? Can I please, like, whatever you need?" I was like, "Sure. Do you want coffee?" I was like, "Yeah, I love a coffee." She's like, "Oh my, I can't wait to get you a coffee." She like went and made me a coffee. It was like, so just, just the nicest people ever. And the whole day was like that, even though it was a 12-hour 12-hour day. It was the easiest wedding ever because it was just like that the whole time. Even though it was long hours, everybody's just there to like do a full hour and a half Catholic mass, and otherwise hang out and talk and hug and all these kinds of things. So anyway,
yeah,
wonderful wedding. Can't complain.
Love to end with a kind, nice, long wedding. That's great.
Yes.
A nice little.
It really is. Yep. Cherry is on top. We'll hope for the best with this elopement, and I think that's all I have for the year, other than some random like portraits and stuff like that. And okay, so the reason I brought that up wasn't just to recap you on my week, but the wedding was shot a lot with the Nikon ZF. And I know we talked about it a few times on here, but one of the recent things I was able to test and I was very curious about were the TechArt mount adapters for this camera. TechArts existed as a company. I think they primarily started with the Sony bodies and adapted all kinds of lenses for Sony bodies before Sony really caught up with around 2018 with their more professional lineup of prime lenses, especially. So TechArt in the early days, rough. I remember getting like an autofocus adapter for my Leica lens on it, and it was very like slow hunt and peck. It would have to rack focus the entire focus range to like acquire where it needed to be. And it was cool to have the capability at all, but it was, just like a little bit worse overall. I was very curious to see that TechArt had an entire, maybe it was just two, but maybe more. I need to go double check. Lineup of Z mount adapters. And I bought the M mount to Z mount adapter with autofocus enabling. M lenses, if you've never used them or you don't know much about Leica, all the M lenses are painfully manual focus, which a lot of people, that's like one of the reasons they love it, because it slows them down, and there's all kinds of benefits to the weight and size without any autofocus capability. And you can have pretty good glass performance with still maintaining a pretty small size overall. They also made a EF to Z mount adapter. So the Canon, older series Canon lenses, pre-mirrorless, to the Z. And I got to tell you, the EF mount adapter, when I put the Canon 24 1.4 EF on the Leica, it looks kind of like a Nikon ZF, it performed as good or better than it does on my R3. For sure, a Canon lens on a Nikon body. The Leica 24 1.4, and I like to do autofocus tests with wide angle because those tend to be the ones where it gets confused. There's so much squeezed into the scene with a wide angle lens that at 1.4, when it acquires focus, there's, depending on how large the head is in the frame, if it's a person you're photographing, it's much more susceptible to like jump and get the thing behind it or in front or something, because they're just so much more squeezed into the scene. And the performance is insane. Now, I didn't wrap up. But with the Leica mount, it's I think just as good. I need to check the actual files and like call through the whole wedding. But if it's not just as good, it's right in the same zone. So the fact that a manual lens that has never been capable of autofocusing before can perform nearly as good as a native RF mount lens on my Canon R3 on a Nikon body is pretty crazy and
You're
exciting.
throwing all your Canons away. It's okay.
Here's the thing.
You can
ZF. I have two grips for it. One is the small rig one, which is kind of the rubbery black one that's on right now, and then I bought another one that has wood, which looks beautiful, like really, really nice. But it's a little bit thicker grip for your fingers to curl around. But that thing, because it's wood, it has a little creak in it, and you can tighten this bolt underneath, but it still has this little bit of give, which is very distracting and annoying. I don't want that feel on my camera at all. So I've switched back to the small grip, and it's just not
glue
quite.
In there.
Maybe, but they would be pretty permanent then. We'll see. But here's the thing. The big problem at the end of the day, though it performed very, very well across the board with anything I put on the mount adapters, and I have a variety. I also have the Nikon, their own F to Z mount adapter, which works great. When you put a flash on it, flash works wonderfully, really, really good, way better than it does on the R3.
Is this going to be your top heavy thing? Is this about top heavy?
It's way too top heavy. It needs a battery grip, and I don't think they're ever going to make one, sadly.
Okay, hear me out. I have a solution for this. Okay, my beautiful solution here is that bouldering, like climbing, going to the bouldering gym, climbing gym, top rope climbing, you're climbing the wall. You're now a wall climber. They have this exercise that is just you take a broomstick and you take a strap and you tie the strap to the broomstick, and then you run it through a weight, like a 5-pound weight.
Okay.
And then you roll up. You take your hands, you hold both of them, and then you alternate hands, and you roll up the weight up the strap, and then you roll it down. And you do that 5 minutes every morning, and you will have the beefiest forearms in the world. And then nothing will be top heavy ever because you're so strong. You won't. My tip here is to get ripped, just to get really strong. Do it for the aesthetic. Not the aesthetic of your arms, although that would be great too. Because, like photographers, we roll up our sleeves at the wedding.
Any study or discussion about how people that are really in shape and have ripped arms, how they do if they have really sedentary day jobs where they're typing at a computer and you get the mouse pain. I don't think it has too much. It's the repetitiveness of it combined with the strain of where your camera is with that top heaviness. I don't actually think any amount of real exercise, it will alleviate for sure and probably mitigate a lot of serious issues, but I don't think it'll completely solve it because of the pull and like the awkward angle of it all. It's I don't know. I could be wrong. I think it's more of a bone thing, but yeah, somebody's yelling at the podcast right now, being like, "Yeah, that's not how
you gotta get your bones fixed." I think that's what.
It's a big issue.
New bones.
It's a big issue. It's a comfort thing. It's all kinds of stuff. But here's the thing. Like also, I shot for years without like having this realization, and then I got a battery grip, and I was like, well, this just adds way too much weight. So I would take it off when I would have a flash on, because I was thinking I want it to be as light as possible when I'm holding my camera up over my head while people are dancing the whole time, and then I just started to have that pain all the time. And but one thing you can do if you are dead set on using something that doesn't support a grip and you can't add any counterweight to balance it, is use your strap like this.
Okay, this is not super helpful because this is an audio.
Well, you can describe what I'm doing. I'm almost so I have my left hand. I'm holding my camera up over my head with my right hand, and I'm holding my left hand back with the camera strap to counterweight the thing. And so it's also a pretty cool looking thing when you're up over a dance floor because it looks like you're about to just like tether someone with an arrow.
Are you a good wedding dancer? Do you go to weddings outside of like
I don't dance.
When's the last wedding you
ever?
To? You don't
it's
dance
been a while.
ever?
I don't dance at all.
Whoa.
No. Yeah.
Talk to me about this. Dance is like
the
joy of life.
I've
my goodness.
Just had like a weird aversion to it for forever. Wow. And on the dance floor, I tend to just kind of bob my head and pace around and interact with people. But it's been actually something I've always been jealous of people, when they're being photographed, tend to mirror your body language and what you're doing, especially on a dance floor. And so photographers that can dance, I see all the time. They'll approach somebody on the dance floor, do a dance move that they want somebody to do back to them, and then boom, you have some predictability there of what that person is going to do at the camera, which is a pretty awesome skill to hone if you've never tried or thought about that.
That could be you. You could be honing that skill. Come on, I can't believe you don't dance. I don't
even listen to the same music that everybody is listening to. I put in my AirPod Pros and I'm listening to something totally different, which is great.
Your flamenco guitar or your death metal. I get it. Yeah. I shot the last wedding that I secondary shot on. That was the first time I ever did the AirPod Pro during the reception. Life-changing, big game changer,
I'm so glad to hear you say that. That's awesome. A lot of people,
some good stuff.
This is the internet in general problem with it, but a lot of people, kind of shit on that to oblivion when I'm like, oh yeah, this saved me. I don't think I would still be shooting weddings, and it's not because I don't love the visuals of what I'm capturing, and I don't love my couples and what's happening, but you go every single weekend, most weekends of the year, to a place where you have 3 hours of photos to make, open dancing, and it's the same songs, insanely loud, by the way. There's been a notable uptick in how loud DJs are playing music, and it is, I'm just going to say, inappropriately loud. Like, it is crazy. Anyway, blasting into your head as you're standing in front of the speaker to capture, not the DJ in the background of the photo. It's going to kill your drive. It is. I don't care who you are. You give it enough weddings.
It's also going to kill your ears. My ears are already shot from 100%. All my concert photography years as a teen. Yeah. That was a huge mistake.
Don't give up. Keep protecting them. A lot of people say that as like, my ears are already messed up. And it's like, okay, so you're still not wearing
They can get way worse.
Yeah, exactly. We're still conversing here without any assistance mechanically needed for you. Like, it gets way worse. Anyway.
Yeah.
God, ZF, though, apparently, I wasn't even sure about this. Apparently, the sensor is from the Z6 II or the Z7 or one of the non-Z8,
I told you. I said that. And you were like, no, it's a Z8. And I was like, no, I don't think it is. And you're like, I'm pretty sure. And then I just dropped it because I didn't care.
Well, what's funny is as I was starting to look through and edit them, I was like, ooh, okay, these colors are actually a little bit easier to work with than I was having with the Z8. Because that was one of the things I didn't like about the Z8. Was the colors. So I guess that makes sense. I guess that's why. It's a different sensor. And the Z8 must be tuned differently in a way that I think is worse. But that's just me. Now, performance-wise, I'm also confused as to what the deal is. Because I guess somebody messaged me saying, like, oh, I saw this review. And they said, the big drawback with the body is that it's an older sensor. And, I'm looking right now. I'll pull up something at 16,000 ISO. And it is... scary clean. Like, you don't really even have to think about ISO anymore. It's so good. All right, that's 160,000 ISO. That looks pretty bad. All right, let's find the 16.
That looks like trash.
Yeah, 16,000 ISO. I would say if you're old school and remember back in the day with I'm going to go with the Nikon equivalent. I mean, holy crap, it looks like the D750 at 1600 ISO.
Which is
it maybe looks cleaner than that.
You can never go above 1600. It was a nightmare if you went to 32 or 64.
And it's not color noise either. It's just like little like the grain detail. It's wild how good the sensor is. So I don't really care if the Z8 and Z9 have better sensors by some metrics, which I'm going to pull up right now and see what they look like because I have my entire Lightroom catalog here with both cameras. Let's see.
We talked about this the other day, or I guess the other month, in our clickbaited Nikon versus Canon titled episode about how everything's really good now. right?
Yeah.
Like cameras are great, and I'm running into an issue in my
Okay.
vibes.
we
So
got?
this is I think this is a nice thing to talk about. So our YouTube channel going great, like and subscribe, etc. Blah blah blah. Coming up on video 4 this week. Was going to take December off. I was not going to actually make any videos in December, but now I think I am. I'm having
But you
fun.
just started. You can't
Just
say
started.
that.
Well, I mean, like it was like we haven't even posted a blog post about it yet, right? Like this, I like sent an email and was just like, hey, you know, we're gonna do this, but like the actual post announcing that it's coming is either like mid-December or early January. That it's like, here, hello, we're releasing a video every week. So there's gonna be, you know, a little bit of variance, but there I don't know how to make, because the content that people that works, right, like the around gear is here's why this is bad and here's why this is good and you're making the right choice, right? Like everyone, what the search input that is driving traffic to your stuff is someone wanting to be told that they're making the right purchase, that they are spending their time on the right thing, that they are good enough, that they are fine.
This is why I got downvoted to Oblivion when I was like, yeah, you know those leather camera straps, like the hold fast and crap? Yeah, you look ridiculous in those, and they aren't actually helpful. It's like, well, don't say that on the internet, because people really don't like the double whammy critique of it being a piece of photo gear that they shouldn't be using, and they look ridiculous.
Okay, well, you just said it on the internet again.
Somebody,
in multiple places.
That is just purely my opinion about what works for me. I guarantee you, for some people, it's genuinely helpful. For me, not. And I don't see how you're going to move through a crowded crowd of people with this, and the weight distribution. It's just whatever. Sorry, continue. YouTube people want to be told what
right. So like
right.
Just in general, I think everyone does, right? Like that's what I want, right? To just be told that it's like, no, you're doing a great job, buddy.
True.
Like you're doing all right. Yeah. And like in general, my vibe in real life, which translates pretty well to video and pretty well to here, is like intentional positivity, right? Like I am not a positive person, right? Like this is the thing that people mistake for me about me, is that like, oh,
it's the same processing engine. I am listening, but it's the same processing engine as the Z9 Z8. Sorry, continue.
Nice, love that.
Differences.
And so like I'm not that, right? Like I am fighting what my natural reaction is when I am being a positive or optimistic or, you know, whatever kind. These are all like learned things, and you know, as we've made clear in a year of episodes now, like I had a rough time growing up in Idaho. Not a big fan. And so like my go-to is like cutting, cold, mean, sarcastic, you know, like, but I don't want that, right? Like that's the old me. I want to be a kind, considerate, thoughtful human being that's like showing up earnestly and trying. And that does not mix well with clickbait. Right, like that. I think you're doing fine with what you got. Right, you know, like any camera you have is going to be the camera that you should be using until you need another one. Right, like I'm also super fortunate and have fallen into many cameras that are amazing, and like there are all these. Like the last camera I spent money on, like there wasn't just a trade or time or effort put forth. It was like that Nikon back there, right? Like a DA10. That's, whew. And so it's like I don't know how to bridge that gap of like, hey, you're doing great. Everything's great. Everything's, you know, because like everything's not great. Everything's kind of terrible. Everything feels bad. Everything's more expensive. We
gotta dig you out of this.
Well, speaking of digging me out, this is clearly this is the thing I want to actually talk about. But while we're here, let us celebrate that this week, in 3 days, is the 1 year anniversary of our little chit chat where we decided to do this. Yeah.
Oh,
December 7th.
How'd you know that? Is it marked?
I made you have a date in a calendar. You were
I did. Oh,
you were not pleased about it, and I was like, "No, we need a calendar." And he was like, yeah, whatever, sometime next week." And I was like, "No, how about December 7th?"
Do it.
And so I was like,
okay.
I thought it was today, and I was gonna have a little moment where we celebrated, 1 year of Endless Appreciations to the, but it's actually Thursday. But
Thursday. Okay. Well, we can. Well, we can. No, I think I might be busy this Thursday. I was gonna say we need to podcast on that, but I don't think it'll matter. Maybe I'll release this episode on that day.
We have options,
I love that, and it has seemed like much longer than a year that we've been talking and knowing each other. I guess the literal first time was way back in August when we were doing it for the official, what was, I guess, a Glass podcast of some kind.
It was just a little Q&A, a little something.
Before we continue talking about this and reminiscing, I would like to say that I'm looking right now, Z8, Z9, ZF files, just scanning across super high ISO values, ranges that would be great to be clean, but you rarely are ever going to need. And consistently, I'm telling you right now, the ZF sensor is cleaner, like by a notable margin, huge. I'm very surprised to see this. I'm kind of wondering what the crap is going on with the more expensive cameras having worse ISO performance. Maybe they get it on the other side with more dynamic range, but I don't think so. I don't know what I'm looking at here, but these are clearly better files consistently from the ZF at like 20,000, 18,000, 128,000 range. 128 is pretty unusable, but it's still cleaner than what I'm seeing on the more expensive bodies. Shocked.
Okay, so you're just figure it out, man. Just like you're coming up with reasons every week on why you're not going to change the ZF, and then you're like, "Well, these reasons are dumb and bad."
Well, I've only had the ZF for like 2 weeks, and I only put out one wedding with it. So, as excited as I get about something, for it to be a workhorse, true wedding replacement, it's a tough call. The R3 still, like the handling of it is just, it's good, it's so good.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm keeping it. Just
hooray.
We can. Yeah. Okay.
No, back to me. Back to me.
Yeah.
Back to me. See, that is what 1 year of rapport gets you, is little moments like that.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I'm thrilled. Like the response has been lovely. We're at like 200 subscribers, very nice emails, 200. We got like 100 comments.
That's good.
Living the dream.
200 on what? One video or something? 2?
I think we're at 3 now. 3.
Okay, that's actually pretty good. I love that.
See, slow and steady wins the race.
How are you finding the audio portion of video?
Just a nightmare. Okay, let me tell you. So I have. Great question. Thanks for asking. Man, that would be a great name for a podcast.
Great question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, someone please make that. I don't have the time anymore.
We'll just rename this every year.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Great question. Thanks.
Yeah, brand new. So
obviously that's the title of this episode now. Yeah.
I think we might have done that already. That's like a go-to. That was one of my best friend Adam has like little things that he says to piss me off, and then invariably I will repurpose them as my own and try to make him mad.
I do that too. Yeah.
And then it kind of like accidentally just becomes part of our vocabulary.
So this doesn't make me mad, but I'm curious if you had this experience in Mexico, because this is where I picked up on it in Spain, is when you're having a back and forth, they always present their argument and then they end it with no ? And it kind of throws you off. You're like, whoa, wait, no. So now I have to argue.
That's
from
more of that's a European thing. That's not a Spanish speaking thing. That's a European thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I only got it from Spanish.
It might be a Spaniard thing. If you're a Spaniard, if you're a Spanish appreciator, let me know if this is a Spanish thing or a European thing. Let me know whose minor weird question asking we should be talking about. So audio is a nightmare. Everything about video is kind of a nightmare, which is admittedly what I'm kind of enjoying about it, right? Like taking photos right now is like a beautiful, wonderful, meditative thing because I'm at a proficiency level of pretty great at it now. And so there's like this ease that just doesn't exist in video, right? Even though it's like a similar muscle, a similar creative skill set, there's just so much different things that you have to, variables that you're paying attention to that can like ruin your day. So for example, I have an old Rode shotgun mic, like an incredible, like top of the line, their $500 or whatever shotgun mic for on-camera video. It's too good to use as a talking head microphone. Like it's too hot when I'm just holding the camera right in front of my face while walking around because I'm too close. So I can't use that. And so I was like, okay, cool. I need a different solution. So I traded I got the Rode Wireless Pro 2 whatever thing. They're very fancy lav mic system. I traded a friend. A friend offered to buy it for me as like a kind gesture or whatever to support artists. And I was like, that's very sweet, but I'll send you a print or something. So I traded a print for some nice lav mics. They auto recorded, and this is a dumb thing that doesn't make any sense because audio doesn't record in frames per second, but it does anyway because it has to, because it's going to get synced to video. So they come out of the box set to record at 24 frames per second, but the Sony A7C that I film on only films down to 4K at 25 frames per second. And so there was a missing frame per second, which added up over the course of the last video that I shot to be like 2 minutes of extra audio or missing audio.
Yeah,
so I couldn't sync them. So then
it's always the
Googled
missing audio.
Right. So like I was like, why is this audio faster? Because there was like an issue with line of sight. So like how the receiver works is you like, it's a cold shoe. You just put it in your camera, plug it in, and then you're good to go. But if you lose line of sight, it doesn't work anymore. And I lost line of sight at like 400 feet or whatever, because I was like walking through a field in rural Maryland. And so I had to switch to my audio backup because it does a backup recording on the actual receiver that you're using, the mic. Didn't work because it was faster. So I spent like an hour and a half Googling how to change the frame rate on audio to make it a little longer. Found a thing on like the deepest, darkest corner of video editing Reddit, and downloaded a guy's.
Those are the good corners of Reddit.
Yeah, a custom built screen encoder, I believe is the name. Just a guy making a little app that you have to like type in your password 4 times on Apple to be able to install, because it's just like an unregistered developer that's just like a dude. And so like your computer doesn't want it to exist. It's like, no, this is very clearly malware. You're going to destroy your computer. And then there's I got it. Hooray. There's a little button that converts the thing from 24 frames per second to 25. Hell yeah, I did it. Woohoo! I type it in and it's shorter. It's shorter than the 24 frames. It subtracted a frame. There's an error in the the free thing that I downloaded, Screen Encoder, where it's actually backwards. So you have to say, I would like this 25 frame per second video to be 24 frames per second. And then the thing's like, okay, great, here you go. And that is how I spent 3 hours on Thanksgiving Eve at my parents' house in rural Maryland, solving that single problem.
Yeah, that is the downside of video. Is the audio.
Miserable.
Yeah, it's not just the audio.
I mean, like, let's not stop about color grading.
The problems, it's the problems that, you know, sneak up on you, where you've recorded this entire take and you think everything's going fine, and then it's not, and then you have to redo the whole thing, and then anytime that occurs, you have to second guess yourself, and there's this heightened level of anxiety. Your next take, and then you see something else that went wrong. The battery died halfway through, and you're like, damn it. And then the next take, you're even more rushed with a heightened sense of anxiety. And the early days are rough. Not going to lie. It's really, really tough to do that stuff yourself. It's
the
so
first
much
video
better if
I
you
made,
have somebody filming for you. Yeah.
I was like, hello, my name's Daniel. Welcome to the Glass YouTube channel. Did a whole day worth of shooting. Like went out in the afternoon. I, when I'm shooting, I work in the mornings because that's still my crossover with Europe. So I can work with Tom and Stefan. And then I go out after lunch and I film for the entire afternoon because that's when light's best for, filming and also photos, whatever. And I went out the 2 days before we were launching the YouTube channel. Like we were supposed to post our first one, and had a great time, did everything. And then I was like, tired. So I didn't download the footage and I didn't check it. And then worked all day Wednesday and downloaded the footage Wednesday evening because I prefer to edit at night. It's just like nice to have like a cocktail or a glass of wine and just like get in the zone after I'm like, it's dark and you're a little gremlin at your computer. And the audio was trash. The problem that I was talking about with it being too hot, too close to my face, trash. So I woke up Thursday morning, the day that the video was supposed to go out, and I went out and I reshot it. That's reshot number 1. And then the second video, I did. I had a great time, rural Maryland shooting, and I hated all the photos I took because, like, it was, this is a photography YouTube channel, so the photos have to not suck. So I went out and I filmed it, and I just didn't get any good photos. And so then I went in and I edited the photos, and I was like, oh, nope, this is bad. And then I discovered the audio problem. And I was like, oh, this is 2 problems that I have to solve. So then I went out and I thought I fixed the audio problem the time that I went out to film the second video the second time. And I hadn't. But I did get better photos that time. So then I had to solve the audio problem instead of reshooting for the third time. And that's how I spent 3 hours. So the only video that I haven't reshot is the one that I released last week.
God, it's a lot. Now so add battery powered motorized camera sliders. I did that for my little editing tutorial workshop stuff that's included with my presets from Develop. It's a lot of it's like an extra hour of like really deep in-depth editing tutorials using my preset, and not just saying here's the click of the preset, but how I actually edit through a huge range of scenarios. And I had my stable straight on camera and another one sitting on a side slide thing from a company called Edelkrone that is a little robot that physically slides, and you have to have it track and keep in focus. And so that way I would have an interesting cutaway of something because it was such a long, intense amount of information. It's like, you got to break it up somehow. And so I would cut away to that camera. And so it's setting that up. So that was just sliding slightly left and right, and everything was in sync. And you have to, measure. It's actually really, if anybody's interested in upping their production quality, it's kind of expensive, but it really does make a difference. It's such a pain to set up, but it overall is surprisingly easy. There's an Edelkrone app that connects over Bluetooth via your iPad or iPhone straight to the device. And then you can pre-measure like stopping points, and you can have it like do these like sine wave swells. So it'll like go slow, then a little faster, then slow, stop, slow, faster. And you can like have it start and stop and just oscillate and all kinds of cool stuff. But I tell you, I got all that set up, and then I'd forget to like have my microphone plugged into my main camera and crap, and go for like 40 minutes and then realize, oh shit.
So I'm supposed to, this is this week's video, right? Like I'm planned, my video calendar is planned through February at the moment.
That is insanely impressive. How do you do that? I can't imagine.
I sat down and I did a thing.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Things. I just delivered a wedding. Man, that's crazy to me, though.
I love it.
Impressive.
You're just, Sam, at some point, you're going to learn the power of a to-do list, and it's going to like blow your brain.
Yeah, I've tried.
I know. It's such a hard,
we've talked about this before, all the various to-do apps and the trap that everybody gets sucked into with like, oh, this is almost perfect, but not quite. Maybe this one. Nope.
Yeah.
And then
what you really need is just like a Moleskine and a pen or a
field notes. And I've even done that. My problem is I tend to have I lose interest in something 2 weeks after I was starting on it. Insight. That's why Insight I'm so excited about, because I truly think it's changing things for me and in my photography, and it's shocking. Like as a measure of, is this a useful tool or not? That alone should be some signal for me. I'm going to keep using it even if it like totally fails as a company, because it is that useful. But the fact that I've been interested in something for about 6 months now is
long time,
rare, a long time. Yeah. Anyway, but my problem is I'll sit down and like outline. Patreon was one of these things where I was like, okay, I really need to have a good system, a good workflow to keep up with things so that people feel like they're getting value for their investment in money. And I went through the cycle of like creating to-do lists and all that, but inevitably something new would come out and that would take priority. Like I'd want to shoot with this new lens or this camera as much as I could. And then all the other things that I had on the back burner was like, oh, okay, I'll just notch those down and there'll be backup posts in case there's some downtime. But there's like never downtime. If you want to find stuff to talk about, you can always find it. So
yeah,
the rule is, the moral of the story is, don't have the internet don't have Reddit so that you don't find new topics to talk about. Maybe that's the key. I'm just easily distracted by a new talking point of like some new product or debate that's come up that like supersedes. I just don't want
to I don't know what the power here is. I mean, like this was a necessity, right? Like YouTube wasn't going to get done. This is not how I plan out our like content calendar, right? Like I sit down on Friday to be like, okay, it's time to figure out who I'm spotlighting this week, and then just think, right? Like, oh, who haven't I spotlighted yet? What do I want to, and then like look at who I've spotlighted over the last like 5 weeks or 6 weeks, and then been like, oh, we've had 3 men. It's time for a woman. Or it's like, oh, this is like, oh, and just, kind of like let the vibe guide me to, oh, I need to spotlight Oot Reckhorn or, but like video is like, that's a hard enough lift that I can't just fuck about and it'll magically happen. And so I was like, okay, I need to do a little bit more.
If you're still talking, here. You're frozen.
Well,
okay, you're back. Remember how I said I just uploaded a wedding? It's still uploading, so I'm gonna see.
Oh my god, is that why you're a potato this whole time?
I think so. Yeah.
You've been like 3 pixels.
Pick time. There we go.
With your new microphone, and it looks particularly silly because it's like a single pixel.
I don't think I'm going to keep using this microphone for podcasting, but it is a beautiful, awesome, high quality microphone for sure.
Right.
What I was hoping, it's teenage engineering. I thought they would be smarter than this, but what would have been cool, instead of including this tiny little bag to carry it around in, which is a nice little bag, they should have used a material that could have made it double as a pop filter. This isn't enough. It's never enough. Like, you need an extra barrier for pop filtering, which is why the SM7B is such a fabulous microphone for podcasts. It comes with this thing on it. You can actually take it off, and it's still not that susceptible to pop filtering given its frequency response curve. But yeah, come on, guys. This isn't meant to be a podcast mic. It's an actual high quality. Yeah. All right.
This is without my pop. Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa. You get way, way more high end. Yep.
Oh my goodness. Hello.
But once you get a good plosive P where like the air is really coming out, it's probably going to.
Welcome to Endless Appreciations After Dark. I'm your host, Danny Nichols, and I'm here to...
I wonder how many people have never taken that filter off. I bet it's a lot.
This sounds
it looks
amazing.
Cool. It's a good mic, like across the board. Don't get me wrong. Oh gosh. So what were we talking about just before that whole...
I'm sorry.
You were talking about something and then we got disconnected, but I did want to weigh in.
Yes, but I am now Danny Nichols, and I'm here to play my slow jams. Wow, sorry. That's what happens when... Woo! Okay, sorry. I really got lost in the sound of my voice there. That was amazing.
YouTube is already having a couple of yellow flags worth of effects here. I'm going to have to keep you in check.
Keep me in check. My 200 subscribers are going to my... we have like a very successful mailing list. Our weekly goes out to 5 digits worth of folks, and I have so many friends, like marketer friends, that were like, I would kill for that, man. Like, your open rate's bananas. People reply to you, everything's and I'm like, oh well, thank you. I did nothing but shit talk about photography every week, and that's it, right? Like, look at these photos, everything's amazing, and that's it. That's all I do. Anyway, it was about like how it's planned out to February, right? Because I don't have like the time to stop.
Okay, great. Yeah, what I wanted to mention was when I was in Poland last week, the photographer that helped kind of arrange all that and that I spent a lot of time just hanging out with and making videos and whatnot, Magic, he started his YouTube video kind of career in 2020. Right, with the pandemic, and that's like the hardest time you possibly could have, because like everybody who's even thinking about it decided to, because there's nothing else to do. Yeah. He said his goal is just 1 video a week, kind of like how we do our podcasts, keep that momentum going, and iterate from there. You're always going to get better, and you're going to cringe at your, the growth curve of quality. It probably looks pretty much like a hockey stick, and so very quickly you're going to start to cringe at like your older videos, but keep them up. That's part of the YouTube tradition, as far as I understand it, is to just keep that crap up there. And then anyway, as the actual editing and overall quality improves, so will your ability to relay the information in a way that hopefully people connect with, and it'll just start building on itself. The thing that I've always had an aversion to with YouTube stuff is the comment section. I cannot handle it. It's such a mind suck, and it just distracts from everything in my day when I'm like,
let me tell you about
they're
it.
right. They pointed out one thing that I got it wrong in this whole thing, and I'm like, okay, I got to reply to this comment because everybody else, and blah, 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 and yeah, it's the worst. It's not
it's not the worst. It's the best. It's the best because it's your opportunity to interact with your buds. Someone likes you enough to leave a comment, man.
I understand. I mean, there's lovely comments as well. Those are easy to take in. They don't weigh on you and take anything else from your day. But the
we just need to find you a community manager. We need like a office and community manager, someone who wants to get in your comment section, and someone who wants to like run a calendar for you or something. I think that would really unlock another level of opportunity for you to work. Most people use that for like freedom or sleep or whatever, but I think you would just find a different thing to work on. See, look at that. Look at that growth over a year.
The day planner app called Insightful, and it would be a meditation app based on my voice, where you get like a...
No, not that voice. This voice. Hello.
Yeah.
Welcome to Daniel's to-do list.
You got to admit, your microphone does look 100 times cooler now. With
this? No, I think this is dumb looking.
It's like a Star Wars drone. It's awesome.
Yeah, someone would die. Like, it looks like a weapon I could turn on. It is.
For people listening and can't see, it's a very silvery... It looks like one of the like reject drones from A New Hope when he's like buying from the scrap dealers. Yeah.
That's right.
Anyway.
Wow, I can't believe how much better this sounds without
I know. Yep. Well, I think it's perfectly... I don't know exactly which mic you have, but a lot of times they overhype the high end when they know it's a microphone that's going to have the muffled foam over it the whole time. So it's even more hyped than most microphones that don't have a built-in pop filter. Like, you sound more hyped than me, but it probably breaks down pretty quickly if you try to manipulate the audio with EQ or compression too much.
Well, just don't manipulate this audio.
Okay.
This audio is perfect. I'm just.
And with that, we've hit about an hour. I think we're good to just kind of call it.
Yeah, no more Danny Nichols today, folks. Apologies. I'll make sure that guy stays inside.
Okay. Yes.
Well,
no follow-up.
Pleasure, as always. Yes, wonderful year.
It's been great.
Appreciate
We've been shockingly consistent.
You're frozen again because you're uploading
40
a
episodes
wedding while recording. So And there it was. That was there was a nice sign off in there somewhere. I don't know if you heard it. Did you do your sign off?
I did my sign off. You didn't freeze at all, so we're good.
Oh,
yes. I just wanted to mention we've been remarkably consistent. We're like 35 episodes from our official launch, which was way back.
Yeah, that was in February.
So that's end of February. So we're almost tracking with an episode a week. We probably only missed about 6. That's pretty good. Better than I thought we'd ever do.
Well,
so thank you for that.
That's the power of consistency and friendship, or whatever.
I will be by your place at some point soon this week to collect my Leica 50.95 Noctilux and see how it performs through this TechArt adapter. So maybe we can discuss that next round.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate you.
1, 2, 3.